Every year, there's one player in the NBA who's a level above everyone else. The numbers, the highlights, the dominance. It all adds up to 3 letters: MVP. An award that is crowned to only the best of the best. An award only a few all-time greats have in their locker. But this year is different. This year is shaping up to be one of the closest MVP battles we've ever seen. Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 2 players that are having all-time historical seasons, so far ahead of everyone else that they are the only names that have ever been brought up. This race has sparked up countless debates and controversy over what it actually means to be the MVP. But this award has always been controversial, even from the very beginning of the NBA. The definition of the most valuable player has never been clear. Is it the stats, leadership, winning? How do we define MVP? Now, this award is very special. So special that every MVP in history has been in the Hall of Fame. It has become the staple achievement that is given to the best player in the world. Except that's not true. The most valuable player isn't necessarily the best player. And this is precisely why there's always been so much debate around the MVP. In 1962, Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50.4 points, 25.7 rebounds, and 2.4 assists, while Bill Russell averaged 18.9 points, 23.6 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. Now clearly one season stands out by a mile, except the winner of the MVP award was Bill Russell. Wilt averaged 50 whole points per game, set records that will never be broken, led his team to the 2nd seed in the East, and still didn't win. Now this was definitely a robbery, but that's because back then, the players themselves voted for the MVP. Bill Russell was viewed as a winning and unselfish type of player, and everybody thought that winning was much more important than individual stats. NBA players also didn't like Wilt. They thought he was a bad teammate and he didn't have the greatest reputation. So almost purely because of popularity and winning a bit more, Bill Russell would go on to win 5 MVPs. Now sports writers and broadcasters vote for their top pick, but that hasn't kept people from arguing over who really deserved it. Malone winning over Jordan in 1997, Steve Nash winning back-to-back MVPs, Kobe over Chris Paul in 2008, Westbrook over Harden in 2017, you get the idea. But the reason why so many of these were controversial wasn't because the winners didn't deserve it, it's because the criteria changes every year. Almost every MVP ever finished at least top 3 in their conference, highlighting the importance of individual performance while winning. This is why Kobe didn't win in 2006, despite averaging 35 points and having one of the best offensive seasons ever. The Lakers were the 7th seed and just didn't win enough. But if that's the case, then why did Westbrook win MVP in 2017 as the 6th seed? Or Jokic winning it in 2022 also as the 6th seed? If winning and stats mattered, then why did Jordan not win over Malone despite having better numbers and a better record? Same with Shaq and Tim Duncan, who both had better stats and better records than Allen Iverson. The truth is, it's not just about winning and averages. The MVP is much more than that. For a very long time, the best player on the best team was usually the MVP, a player that achieves a perfect balance of both individual and team success. It's not handed out to the best player in the world, or even really the most valuable. And it feels like now more than ever, there's been another major factor that contributes to MVP votes, what we refer to as narrative. Social media and basketball are becoming more interconnected than ever, with online opinions and views now playing a significant role in award decisions. Context, timing, and emotion are now taken into account. A good example of this is Westbrook's 2017 season, which might have been the catalyst that permanently changed what it means to be MVP. The man averaged a 30-point triple-double, absolutely historic numbers that have never been achieved before. But the Thunder were the 6th seed, which if we go based on the history of how it's been given, should pretty much automatically disqualify him from winning it. But what pushed him to that number 1 spot, however, was the narrative. To average a triple-double in a season is unbelievable. Seriously, one of the best individual seasons of all time. But to keep the integrity of the award, he should not have won it. James Harden and Kawhi Leonard had more traditional resumes that fit better for how the MVP award had always been given. The timing also played a big part in his campaign, since Kevin Durant had just left OKC to join the Warriors, a move that painted Durant as the villain and Westbrook as the loyal good guy. Russell Westbrook became the first true anomaly in the history of basketball MVPs. A man that defied all the criteria, all the standards, and willed his way to being named the most valuable player in the NBA. But this wasn't supposed to happen, because now if your stats were good enough, you could be named MVP even if you don't win, which alters the previous standards that were held for years and puts the credibility of the award into question. The hardest part about this year's race is that there really isn't a correct answer. If we go based on the history of the award, SGA should win by a considerable amount, but if we go by the recent trends, Jokic walks away with it. If SGA wins, then everyone would say Jokic got robbed, and if Jokic won, then everyone would say SGA got robbed. But there's another interesting fact that I found out that really goes to show just how close this MVP race truly is. Win shares measure a player's contribution to total wins, while box plus minus measures pretty much every box score stat. They essentially measure the two main components of being an MVP, how much you help your team win and how well you play. And when we plug these in, we see that these two really are dead even. Even though many of these advanced metrics are a bit flawed and don't show the whole picture, it's interesting to see how Jokic and SGA are both neck and neck in nearly every statistical form of basketball. But numbers aren't everything. And realistically, reporters are not going to vote based on advanced stats only. The story is just as important. Even when it comes to narratives, both of these guys have very strong cases. SGA is the best player on the best team, a young superstar who's leading the youngest roster in the league, so one of the best records ever. Nikola Jokic, on the other hand, is having statistically the best season ever. The first center to average a triple-double, reminiscent of Westbrook's 2017 campaign, except better in nearly every aspect. The man already has 3 MVPs and is somehow getting even better. But SGA is the new superstar, the new face of the league, while Jokic is now fighting the battle of voter fatigue. It's happened to Jordan, it's happened to LeBron, and now everyone believes Jokic will be the next victim in line. He has been the best player in the world for the past 5 years, and everybody pretty much knows it. History tells us that SGA should pretty much walk away with it, but Jokic is having such an anomaly of a season that we just don't know. But what's interesting about this debate is that this same scenario has already happened before, just last year in fact. The 2024 MVP race was also very close between the same two guys. The top 2 votes were Jokic and SGA, but there was a third guy who many fans believe deserved to win. Luka Doncic averaged very similar numbers to what Jokic is averaging right now. 34, 9, and 10. An absolutely historic season, but he was pretty much not even in the race. Well, his team didn't win enough. Jokic and SGA were both tied for the first seed, so despite Luka's unbelievable season, he barely got any votes. The Mavs were the 5th seed and had the exact same record the Nuggets have right now. So if Luka didn't win MVP, then Jokic shouldn't win either. I mean, this was the standard from just 1 year ago. Winning matters. It's always mattered for the MVP. And despite Jokic's otherworldly numbers, the gap between the Thunder's record and the Nuggets record is massive. So massive that in all honesty, to uphold the integrity of the award, SGA should easily win. But this is the biggest problem with the MVP award. The criteria seems to change every year. If Jokic was to win the MVP, it would go against the decades of tradition we have followed. If SGA wins, it would go against the recent shift that's prioritized individual brilliance over winning. There's also a growing perception that the media is biased towards SGA and against Jokic, but that's not true. I mean, he wouldn't have won 3 MVPs if they were working against him. Everybody acknowledges his place as the number 1 player, but SGA perfectly fits how the MVP award has always been given out. The scoring champ leading his team to unprecedented heights. It's just that Jokic is so good right now that analysts are wondering if he's worthy of being the rare exception. He is quite literally redefining what it means to be the MVP. But if Luka wasn't worthy of an exception, then Jokic probably won't be either. The truth is, there is no right answer. Either one deserves it. Both fit different aspects of being the MVP, and both had absolutely monstrous seasons. 2 players, and only 1 trophy. 2 players who are equally as great as the other. Will Shai Gilgeous-Alexander emerge as the new face of the league, a player on the verge of conquering the NBA, or will there be a new chapter in the GOAT debate?